वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते 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 वासुदेवाय।
मत प्राप्तये जेष सुरासुरादयस्।
मत प्राप्तये जेषसुरासुरादयस्।
तप्यंत उग्रम तप ऐन्द्रिये धियः।
तप्यन्त उग्रं तप ऐन्द्रिये धियः।
कृते भवत्पादपरायणान् नमाम्।
ऋते भवत्पादपरायणान् नमाम्। माम्
विन्दन्त्यहं त्वद्हृदया हृदया यतोचित।
विदन्त्यहं त्वद्हृदया यतोचित।
हृदया यतोचित. May I read?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Translation. O Supreme, unconquerable Lord, when they become absorbed in thoughts of material enjoyment, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as all other demigods and demons, undergo severe penances and austerities to receive my benedictions. But I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Because I always keep you within my heart, I cannot favor anyone but a devotee. Purport. In this verse, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, clearly states that she does not bestow her favor on any materialistic person, although sometimes a materialistics become very opulent in the eyes of another materialistics. Such opulence is bestowed upon him by goddess Durga Devi, a material expansion of the goddess of fortune, not by Lakshmi Devi herself. Those who desire material wealth worship Durga Devi with the following mantra: Dharam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Rupavati Bharyam Dehi. O worshipful Mother Durga Devi, please give me wealth, strength, fame, a good wife, and so on. By pleasing Goddess Durga, one can obtain such benefits, but since they are temporary, they result only in Maya Sukha, illusionary happiness. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Maya Sukha Brahma Udvahato Vimudhan. Those who work very hard for material benefits are Vimudas, foolish rascals, because such happiness will not endure. On the other hand, devotees like Prahlad and Dhruva Maharaj achieved extraordinary material opulences, but such opulences were not Maya Sukha. When a devotee acquires unparalleled opulences, they are the direct gifts of the goddess of fortune, who resides in the heart of Narayana. The material opulences a person obtains by offering prayers to the goddess Durga are temporary. As described in Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavat tu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpa medhasham. Men of meager intelligence desire temporary happiness. We have actually seen that one of the disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to enjoy the property of his spiritual master, and the spiritual master, being merciful towards him, gave him the temporary property, but not the power to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. That special mercy of the power to preach is given to a devotee who does not want anything material from his spiritual master, but wants only to serve him. The story of the demon Ravan illustrates this point. Although Ravan tried to abduct the goddess of fortune, Sita Devi, from the custody of Lord Ramchandra, he could not possibly do so. The Sita Devi he forcibly took with him was not the original Sita Devi, but an expansion of Maya or Durga Devi. As a result, instead of winning the favor of real goddess of fortune, Ravana and his whole family were vanquished by the power of Durga Devi. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktir Eka. Thank you, Ji Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, Kamastaisthirhit Jnana Prapadyante Anya Devata, Krishna is saying. In this material world, See, material world is dukhalayam ashashvatam. So whatever benediction you are seeking in this world is going to be a cause of misery. Actually, the only benediction in this material world is the holy name of the Lord. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his song Arunodaya Kirtan, he writes, Krishna Nama Sudha Koriyapan, Jurao Bhakati Vinod Pran, Nama Bina Kichu Nahi Ka Ar, Chauda Bhuvana Maje. That, in this material world, actually in these 14 worlds, there is nothing except for the holy name. Because in reality, everything that we consider of value in our lives, family, education, society, everything is going to be vanquished. There will be nothing left for us. And because everything requires effort. See, try to understand this part. That in this material world, everything has value. Education, wealth, family, beauty, fame, power, everything is valuable. But depends on what application it has. If it is used in service of Krishna, it is valuable, certainly. If it is not used in service of Krishna, it will become a cause of lamentation. Big families are ruined. Education goes away. When one grows old, when memory becomes feeble, one cannot remember anything. Then all the education is of no use. The beauty of course dies. Like which 60, 70-year-old looks beautiful really? So beauty also goes away with time. Power is flickering, it comes and goes. In fact, Lakshmi is described as Chanchala. She doesn't stay in one place. Where there is no Vishnu, Lakshmi will not stay. When Ravana tried to acquire Lakshmi forcibly, eventually he was vanquished. Here Lakshmi Devi herself is saying, I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in service of your lotus feet. So unless one is serving Krishna, Lakshmi Devi is not going to favor. Then what is the use of all this? All this so-called material glory is of no use. It's just a waste of time. Material power, material wealth, material beauty, they'll all fade away with time. So to ask them for one's personal gratification is always the most foolish thing one can ask. Because one's own body is not going to be with him. So what's the point in asking for benedictions? Because you see, to acquire any of these, wealth, fame, power, everything, it requires effort. It requires a great deal of effort. To become a doctor, you need to spend 17 years just to get the basic medical degree. To become an engineer, at least 16 years. Or if you are in the foreign countries, then at least 18 to 19 years of education. So it's not easy at all. Simple material qualifications also require a great deal of effort. So on top of that, if you're asking for more and more benedictions, you're wasting more and more time for something which is going to be temporary. You see, so therefore, to ask for material benedictions without devotion service is actually shrama eva hi kevalam. It's atyahar, it is prayas, it has no value. It will be finished. That's why maya sukhaya bharam udvahato vimudhan. Those who work very hard for material benefits are vimudha, fools, foolish rascals, because such happiness will not endure. See, in this world, we may have many things. Education is not bad, wealth is not bad, fame, power, nothing is bad, provided you know how to use it. If your education is to know Krishna, then that education is valuable. But if your education is simply to learn about some material elements, then it's of no use. Because material elements themselves are flickering. So your knowledge also is flickering. And in the end, samprapte sannihita kale nahi nahi rakshati dukkarana karani. This is what Shankaracharya is saying. So, nahi nahi rakshati dukkarana karani. This material education is not going to help. And there, Adi Shankara is speaking to the Mayavadi sannyasis, not to ordinary people. Ordinary people are even worse off. Because at least a Mayavadi will get kicked by Maya and eventually come to the conclusion that, Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate. Eventually he would come to the conclusion, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. But an ordinary person will just get kicked by Maya from one place to another. Education, family, wealth, everything will be ruined. So one should only work for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
So when it comes to education and bhakti, so like what do you really suggest? Like how do a particular person go ahead? Because everybody feels that some education is very important so that they have some stability in life. And then as parents also we think that very good education, so we encourage our children for doing the competitive exams and this and that. And especially even to those children who are showing some interest in bhakti, but then we know that when they take up these things, as I'm into this line, when they're taking, this is very rigorous activity, so definitely there is a high chance that they may for quite a long time be away from bhakti or devotional services. So how do we understand or Prabhupada's instructions on material education when we are pursuing bhakti?
Let's start with Narottam Das Thakur. Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Keval Vishera Bhand. See, we have to balance practicality with what is the reality. Certainly, some education is required. And to be honest, the question that you're asking me, Prabhu, is a very difficult question for me to answer. Very, very difficult question. Because, devotees are certainly not pure devotees. So they have a lot of material fears. Not pure devotee means fearful. Always fearful. So out of this fear, they will send their children to material education. But Srila Prabhupada describes it as intellectual slaughterhouse. That is also true. Because at least here in the West, I'm seeing all they learn is atheism and illicit sex. These are the only things they learn in colleges. I mean, boys are searching for girls, girls are searching for boys. I mean, in my religion class also, when I had gone to the high school to teach religion, it was the same thing. Boys were trying to attract girls, girls are trying to attract boys, and that's the only work they do. So, in such a place, if a devotee sends his child, then the devotee is guilty of an offense. Remember that verse, Guror nasasyad, Janani nasasyad. So that same thing, unless you are able to deliver your dependent from the cycle of birth and death, you have failed in your position. So if your son, in Christianity, there's a saying, what profiteth a man if he gains the kingdom of the world but loses his eternal soul? So what is the use? Your son may become a brilliant engineer or doctor, but if he becomes atheistic or sinful, then all your education, your effort is waste. It's gone. All the effort that you have put is gone. It has no value. So yes, Gaur Mohan De had a more practical approach in this issue. He sent Srila Prabhupada to study in the college, but at the same time, he insisted that he worship the deities at home. And he was always trying to associate with sadhus. He taught Srila Prabhupada how to play the mridanga. He was trying to find different gurus so that eventually he would learn bhakti. But then that's again a long shot, It's a dangerous gamble. So it's a dangerous gamble. So yeah, my suggestion, considering all the aspects, what I would suggest is give your child a simple education. Don't go for excessive education. For example, devotee children trying to study for IIT, JEE or NEET. I would think that is atyahar. Because imagine you have to study 8 hours, 10 hours a day, 4 to 8 hours, 4 to 10 hours a day. With that kind of, what sanskaras are building in the mind. Imagine if a child suffers a heart attack and dies at the age of, say, 15, 16, and he has just finished studying his chemistry or his physics. What will he remember? He's not going to think of Krishna. Such an intense hard work is bound to produce sanskaras in the mind. These sanskaras will remain strong. And one may think that he has forgotten. But at the most inopportune time, these thoughts will pop up. Everything will come back. All that physics, chemistry, mathematics, all the rigorous work that had been put into it will come back. I mean, I didn't study too hard my high school, and I did engineering from a very ordinary college. But even after 25 years of graduation, suddenly sometimes in the night, I am able to recall everything. It just comes back. And then I think of the children and I become very worried. If for such a minimal education, if I'm getting those sanskaras, what will happen to those who actually put their hearts into it? That's why Krishna is saying, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam. Smaran Bhavam. What feelings you remember, not what thoughts you remember. You cannot artificially think of Krishna if all your life sanskaras have been built towards getting education. So I absolutely would not want any devotee children to study for IITs or NEET or NDA or such competitive exams. It's very dangerous. These sanskaras will not go away with time. The passion that has been built up will not go away so easily. So yes, simple
Hare
education.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. please.
Prabhuji, what you said is right, but nowadays the children have a mind of their own and they only insist that they want to do all this. Then what do? You can't just tell him him or her.
Abandon the child emotionally. Don't maintain emotional attachment. Bhav. Don't maintain bhav. Because that bhav will drag you to hell. The child will go to hell and you will have to go with him. That's how the material world works. Laws of nature are extremely harsh. Why is Adi Shankara saying, Iha sansare bahu dushtare kripiya pare pahi murare? Only Krishna can save us. But Krishna can only save us when we try to save ourselves. See, I mean, this is true. I mean, it may sound very harsh, but it's we live in a very dangerous world. We are living in an extremely dangerous situation. So, yes, so if such is the case, first of all, one should not aspire so eagerly to get married and have family and all, because in Kali Yuga, these things are bound to happen. And especially today's age, when illicit sex is like pouring through mobile phones and everything. Children are aware of illicit sex at the age of 6 and 7 nowadays. We didn't even know these things till we were about 12 or 13. So you can see how, how perverted the society is now. In such a society, the sanskaras are already so polluted. So if the children decide, that's okay, they are individual souls, they will have their own thoughts. But the parents should be very careful. See, that's why I'm saying, what is the objective of your life? Is it to serve Krishna or to enjoy this world? If it is to enjoy this world and entertain bhakti as a hobby, then you can do whatever you feel like. But if the objective is to serve Krishna, one should not pay too much attention. Example is Srila Prabhupada himself. Srila Prabhupada himself was not like babysitting his children. In fact, eventually he just abandoned them. When Srila Prabhupada became Vanaprastha around 50-55 years of age, when he left home, the sons were not so grown up. Prabhupada writes in one letter to, I think he wrote a letter to, I think, Sridhar Swami. At that time, he wrote that, my sons are like women sitting at home doing nothing and breaking stones over my head. I requested them to send Gauranga to Bombay to help me with business, but they have refused that even. And they themselves don't work. So Prabhupada himself was disgusted with his children. He just abandoned them. Eventually, he just gave them some money and he abandoned them. He said, okay, do whatever. So yes, so raise the children till the age of adulthood and then let them be. Then don't maintain attachment. Because that attachment will be the cause of our fall down.
Prabhuji, I would like to share one thing. Means I know a very exalted devotee couple, very senior devotees. They were told they used to initially live in Mumbai, and they were told by the Guru Maharaj to shift in Vrindavan. And now since more than I think 20-25 years, they are living in Vrindavan, serving there very nicely. And son is also initiated disciple of Indradyumna Maharaj, and son has done, he's very well educated, well settled, he's got a job, but now he's studying for CAT. And he's in Mumbai, and mother has come from Vrindavan in Mumbai in Kartik month. Just 2-3 days back, I was speaking to her. So she's saying, I have come here, I have sacrificed my staying in Vrindavan in Kartik. I've come here because my son is appearing for CAT and he wants to do MBA further. And so I was very okay. They are such exalted devotees. Everybody knows, them, and they are still encouraging. Now, son is more than 20 years old, but she still feels he needs to study more, and she needs to be around to support him. So I don't know how to understand this.
How is their financial position?
Financially, they're good.
So why bother with all of this?
That's what I mean.
See,
I
it's
really
alright. Like, I'm not here to judge anybody's position. But if it is not necessary, see, if one is financially comfortable, like if my father was a millionaire, I wouldn't have done anything. Like, I wouldn't have gone for a master's degree or
yeah,
even,
they are not millionaires, but okay.
like, I wouldn't suggest, unless there is a compulsion, one should not waste his time. Because these things are, especially IIMs, I'm telling you, if that child by some misfortune gets into the IIMs, his spiritual life is finished. In IIMs, they have joint boys and girls hostels, and they have to study for like 12, 13 hours a day. There's no question. He won't be able to chant even a single round. So he'll be like as good as gone.
No, I mean, all this is very bewildering because when the devotee parents only encourage all this, I don't know how to understand this.
Because the
Many
parents
of our
should
devotee
always
children
come.
are not chanting when they have joined the professional courses. They say, okay, this is the part of the thing, professional courses. Now they have to focus on studies. But we came into bhakti when we are doing our professional courses, and we were told that whatever happens, you have to chant. So how to understand it? And even brahmacharis are saying, no problem. Now you chant 2 or 4 rounds, no problem. Those children who are chanting at the 10th standard, those who are chanting 8 to 16 rounds. When they come to engineering and medical, they are not chanting even sometimes single round also, in the name of studies and hectic schedule and everything. And then the other way, and that's the paradox. The other way, we are preaching to the youth people, and then we are encouraging them to study. Like, isn't it like some sort of a bewildering situation? So already existing devotee children, we are saying, okay, no problem. And new people, we are telling them, okay, now you should become serious in bhakti. Time is so less. So it's like, it seems like a dual tongue.
No, I mean, Prabhu, to be honest with you, like, unless there is a financial compulsion, one should not do anything. To be honest, like in all my years of experience, and I have seen so many devotees also, eventually this just translates into material greed, and there is nothing left. Because once one has a good job, then he wants a good wife. Then after a good wife, he wants good children. And then good children, good wife come, and then he realizes that he has to work extremely hard. And then he realizes that wife and children are not as good as he thought. So then there is suffering, suffering, and suffering, and years pass by, decades and decades. So it's not worth it. Life is too short for such, wasteful behavior. One should simply chant and try to go back to Godhead in this life. See, the problem is, all these things are going on, but none of our devotees are thinking that they should do Sankirtan and book distribution. The way Srila Prabhupada was conducting ISKCON was the way to do it. There were Grihasthas also in that movement. But today, Grihasthas have taken it as a license to enjoy life. See, we are struggling. We just have 10 participants in Bhagavatam group today. Sometimes it's 18, sometimes 22. So where are these 10, 12 people gone? Oh, Prabhu, busy with profession, busy with job, busy with this, busy with that. Busy for what? Even not free enough to discuss Krishna even. Do you see? This is how Maya deludes everyone. See, there is not enough time. You will be old before you realize anything. Just remember, you were all students in 90s. Now it's 30 years have passed away. 30 years have just gone by like that. 5 years, 10 years, they'll just fly, before you realize anything. You'll be still in the same position. And as you grow older, chanting will become more and more difficult. First of all, the body starts giving more pain. The mind starts giving more pain. Trust me, as you grow older, 30, 40, 50, 60, your mind will become more and more troublesome. And then the environment is degrading so fast. So fast. By the time, like I was just reading today that Indian government is planning to make all currency digital. Now imagine a 70-year-old man trying to learn how digital transactions work. I go to banks and I see how old people struggle. Even in Finland, in a European country, people are struggling to learn digital technology. 70, 80-year-old men come, they They don't know how to work with mobile phones. They don't know how to work with internet banking. So difficult. And you will have to learn all of this. And then, amidst all of this nonsense, you will have to chant your rounds. It will be impossible. Trust me. The devotees who are not taking bhakti seriously in their 30s and 40s will have to give up bhakti by the age of 60, 70. There will be no time left to do it. This material world is an extremely dangerous place. I'm not advocating that you leave your family or do something. Just don't try to expand in material world. It's a very dangerous place. So many of our grahasthas are actually realizing that now. So you just have to see, it's all written in the Shastras. Yeah. So any other questions or comments here, Prabhu?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that guidance.
Yes.
It's like voluntarily we should be very cautious. Fun for our own selves, and even fun when we plan for our children. At least we as devotee parents should not be very over ambitious about career. Yeah, the child can be ambitious about their career. You can support to a little bit of an extent, but then no need to go very overboard. But if we ourselves plan that our child needs to be a doctor, engineer, MBA, and all the stuff, then that's going to be indirectly we are actually doing the same thing like all other non-devotee parents are doing.
See, do like Gaur Mohan did it. Like Gaur Mohan Day, he did like this. He, like if you read this thing, Prabhupada Lilamrit, you'll see that even Gaur Mohan Day didn't know what to do for the child. But he thought, okay, let me give him some education, and let me give him some education, and let Krishna decide the future. So in the meantime, his entire focus was on making a good devotee out of Srila Prabhupada. So he was training Prabhupada very nicely to the best of his ability, and at the same time, he just gave him some basic education. Some basic work, basic education, but the thrust was always in worshipping the deities and becoming a good devotee.
And even with that also, Prabhupada was exemplary. He was very good in his language skills. He was very good in his statistic skills and everything. He knew how to. So some basic skill sets provision we need to train them.
And basic skill sets gives, like Prabhupada says, give some basic education. Give some basic education. But, don't get into a situation where the child has to like completely give up devotional service.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Dandatam.
Hare Krishna.